leave a lobby all that quickly. I'm over-explaining because most of y'all don't have these problems. Most of everyone plays ladder, in which case it works fine. Very few people play customs, but the custom lobby is actually kind of still buggy. But anyway, we got the right races, and we do have the right finals. In the bottom left of Solaris, it is herO. And on the top right, we do have a MaxPax. So like I was saying during the break, PvP, not the most rare matchup. CDZ, I definitely must be the rarest matchup in the ESL Open Cup, but PvP is probably the second rarest, because TVT at least had a stint when Clem and herMarine were constantly duking it out in the European Open Cup. But I think across all of the regions, NA, EU, and Korea, I think ZDZ would be the least likely, and PvP be the second least likely, with a lot of TDZs and some PDZs. Not a lot of Zergs, honestly. Not in the European one, anyway. North America and Korea represented by some strong Zergs, such as Dark and Sue and Solar. A little less so in the European region. But anyway, it's a little bit of a rarity for the finals, but it's certainly not a rarity as far as the Open Cups go. But because it is the North American finals, we do get the nice mixture of styles. So if you watch a lot of the European Open Cups, PvP, it's old hat. You know, it's like, oh my god, another one? Jesus Christ. But it's usually also between European players who play each other all the freaking time, so it can be action-packed, it can be really defensive, it can sometimes be boring, it can sometimes be exciting. Everyone has their struggle against the MaxPax style of play if they face MaxPax in the bracket. Okay, sure. But then you get into something that's a little more interesting, in my opinion, which is Korea versus Europe, which is Korea versus MaxPax. And that is generally Korea, whether it's herO or Stats or Zest or anyone, usually we'll just go aggressive against the guy. I'm actually not sure about Stats. Maybe he doesn't, but regardless. Most of the Korean Protosses would choose to play this aggressively. And not just because they're facing MaxPax, rather because that's just how they play. But particularly against someone like MaxPax, they're not going to try and play his same style, beat him to the punch. A lot of times it's about the attacks. And herO does have a pylon out in the map, but as you can see, there is no probe next to it. Kind of means that it's not going to be so dedicated to the aggression. It will still be it's a fast Stargate, kind of. But I do say kind of because look how much faster MaxPax's is. He didn't afford the extra depths, which is 20 extra minerals, 20 extra gas. He didn't get a second gateway. And then I guess that just gives him enough gas, actually. I mean, herO has... I don't know, I'd have to look back and see exactly what the differences were, but at least I got some of those right. The point is, MaxPax's Stargate is much, much quicker. That's not necessarily a good thing, though, when it is so on the nose. MaxPax always goes into a Stargate. And it looks like MaxPax was unable to scout that his opponent also went into one, but he did scout the Nexus timing, which could mean Stargate first, but it also could mean even a Twilight Council or a Robo, actually. It could. More likely might be a Stargate, so we'll see basically depending on how fast MaxPax recalls. How quickly he was prepared to do that. He actually just dipped in and dipped right the hell out of there. Phoenix split up really nicely to chase this down and is going to at least force the recall, and it is available, so there you go. But this plan worked out pretty wonderfully for herO. Completely denied MaxPax's Stargate, and gets to play out Phoenix from here on out, so... I mean, obviously, if you only deflect the Oracle, there's some question as to whether or not just take a single Phoenix after a single Stargate's really worth it, right? But deflecting the Oracle, MaxPax having dedicated to 2 is now severely behind if you were to go, oh, it's a Phoenix game, let's play Phoenix. Not going to do that, as he is already committed to the Twilight Council. Which means in an odd turn of events, it is herO going for the Phoenix game and MaxPax going for the Blink game, which I would say sometimes it's more so MaxPax going for Phoenix. Certainly whenever MaxPax can play Phoenix versus Phoenix, he's very, very good at it. But things have not gone exactly according to plan. He's probably still fine with how they've gone, because the double Oracle might seem like it's useless, And it is if it runs face first into these Phoenix. But the Phoenix can't track the Oracles forever. And as you can see, the Phoenix just revealed themselves to be completely out of position. And unless they're recalled immediately, which is no great need to do so, the Oracles will have a time to go into the main base. One Phoenix left behind is a really cool idea. The two Oracles will still get the chance to sacrifice themselves and kill 5 probes at least. Unfortunately, the first shot was not timed to one shot, so I think he missed the opportunity to kill additional probe. And so 7 will be it. So the sacrifice of 2 Oracles. Not exactly the huge backstab that MaxPax was hoping for. He does still have a 2-worker lead, so that looks really nice. But don't forget the potential of the Phoenix later on to do the same thing. It does look like right now the Phoenix have a much bigger job, though, and that is defending against MaxPax's attack. There's a proxy gateway up to the north that herO does not know about. herO's Phoenix had to evacuate away on the very, very top side, so they have not scouted the lack of third nexus, nor have they scouted any additional gateways, because there really aren't any, I guess. I mean, there's 3 in total, but the 4th one came down as the proxy, so it could be some aggression, or it could be a lot of aggression, and well, it is a lot of aggression, and herO's unanticipating that. Second Immortal does pop out to try and save the day, but the first Immortal is gone, the shield battery is gone, and the second Immortal is also going to be blinked upon once it had its hardened shield pops. Excellent control there from MaxPax, but also excellent timing. It was exactly as herO moved his Phoenix away to go do that counter damage that I was talking about. So they do fly back home, and you can see, if there are 5 Phoenix involved in that fight, no way MaxPax wins that like he does. He might still grab both Immortals, but at a much bigger loss of his own stalker count. As it is, with the recall, he saves some of them, and more were reinforcing back at home. So 11 in total still left alive for MaxPax, which means he won't have to be completely without defense against the Phoenix harassment, which could still happen. herO going into Resonant Glaives at this point, really playing a very different style of play. We've seen this once or twice. Can be interesting. I'm not sure if MaxPax has picked up on this. He sees the base of his opponent, sees the Twilight Council and the Robo, and obviously the Immortals had been pumped out, but the Twilight Council, what it's actually building, is up in the air. It's a question mark. I'm not sure this Resident Glaive style is really so used by herO that MaxPax is, yeah, of course, it's gonna go Resident Glaives. I don't know about that one. It's not the first time herO's done this, but it doesn't happen often. Phoenix not finding any further damage. MaxPax holding on to a 6-worker lead. Third Nexus versus no third Nexus, obviously. MaxPax knew no third Nexus, and still knows no third Nexus to the north, but doesn't know about the triangle? Yes, he does. Probe is right there. Hello. So MaxPax is well aware of a significantly delayed expansion. He should be prepping for any type of attack. But the Resident Glaives does really add a different type of attack dynamic. Obviously, it's shade. Make sure you have something walling off that front. And the natural, well, probably a goner. If the Adepts do shade in there, all those probes are dead. But then on the side of the Adept player, it is tricky to decide to pull the trigger on the Adept Shade or not. As if you pull the trigger on the Adept Shade, you let them phase on through, then the rest of your army is left without fodder. So that is the troublesome part of this. Let's see how this works out. MaxPax has to follow the Adepts, but now is out of position on his third base. Shield Battery will finish in a very aggressive blink forward on top of the Warp Prism, grabs it, but then there's still an Immortal packing a punch away. Shield Battery overcharge finally happening, but is it too late? Was the damage already done? And I think that is the case. The damage was already done. MaxPax losing so many Stalkers as the committal to killing the Warp Prism was just too big. Third Nexus looks like it will fall, and Immortal actually crab walks into its death. That's a little awkward, but now the Adepts come on in for a full surround. Stalkers can blink out of it, I suppose, but now it's a numbers game. And the Adepts aren't usually what you're looking at to kill Stalkers, but when the numbers are this much better, and it will work out. And GG is called herO's 2 base. Adept, Phoenix, Immortal attack. Does MaxPax in? I thought MaxPax actually had an idea that there was an attack on the way. But maybe it was trying to cut too many corners.
Thank you for
or
becoming a member.
Yeah, I chatted with someone in chat. There was, I kind of noticed it, but I didn't think it actually saw the Adepts. herO, or MaxPax's probe kind of went to look, I think, elsewhere, and then I guess it went back to the triangle scout, and at some point in that movement might have seen the natural, in which case you would have seen the building adepts, and you would have known that it was an adept-based build. Just you don't see 6 adepts at that time and be like, that's normal. That's just, you know, that's the only adepts we'll get. But anyway, introductions, then we'll talk more about it. Bottom right herO, who was up 1. Top left, MaxPax. But yeah, so maybe he did see it, but then I'd still be a little surprised by his response, I guess. Now, he has a lot of time seeing no third nexus, so, you know, the whole can the shield batteries actually be done on that third, yes or no? I feel like is a yes. There's always the getting the most done before defending that everyone wants to do, not just Zerg. It's a very Zerg thing. You want to get all your economy before you build your army, but all the races kind of want to do that to a certain extent. You don't want to see an attack incoming and then build 5 bunkers, and then it's not even that committed of an attack, and you have 5 bunkers that were kind of wasteful. But I really think that MaxPax could have had his third Nexus. Shield batteries done. Whether they're done and overcharged with that blink in, saving his life, I don't know, but then he also didn't have a cautionary probe on the high ground. Or maybe he did, and I didn't see it get killed. And that is very possible. But regardless of his knowledge of it happening or not, I think one thing's for certain, the shield batteries weren't done, and that is a poor start to any defense. And then the second thing is that it's always difficult to determine exactly how to defend against the adepts all-in, because of their shade mechanic. If you had a natural wall, which actually MaxPax usually would have, which is not in that game, then it might be as easy as just completely cutting off your natural, full walling it because you can warp in at your third. It might restrict your immortal production if you had it, but you could fully wall off the natural, and the adepts can't threaten you with a good time. And then it's more of a direct fight, isn't it? Oh! Oh, MaxPax doing the thing! MaxPax sending a Zealot over as the shield batteries get plopped down because he did get a pylon up and running. herO trying to do basically the same thing as his opponent, but with a faster Nexus. And that faster Nexus sometimes can cost you. But it looks like with herO taking down both shield batteries, this won't snowball. herO's actual full-on block of his natural is also pretty smart. The Zealot could have been chasing around the Stalker, which meant that it wasn't target firing the shield battery, which means the shield battery does finish. And herO will handle this as calmly as you would expect. For a little while, this type of opener, I think, was really shocking Protoss players, and we had like a 2-week period in which everyone was doing it to everyone, and it was just hands up in the air, I don't even know what's happening anymore. Not so much anymore. Now the pylon looks pretty useless. MaxPax's Zealot looks pretty useless. His Nexus was later, and while his Stargate was faster, basically you can account for that with the defender's advantage. herO's Phoenix arrives first to his base, not MaxPax's. Now MaxPax is still pretty freaking good when it comes to Phoenix versus Phoenix wars. I just talked about that in the first game. And here we have a good old-fashioned Phoenix versus Phoenix war. Both players tied into it, committed to it. Or are they? herO's not committed to it, actually. He's going to try and move over into a Twilight Council, but this can be very dangerous. I'm not saying that herO has a better chance should he go into his own second Stargate, but I am saying that both options are kind of scary, because MaxPax is almost in his prime position. He faces someone else doing Phoenix so freaking often. He faces someone else going Phoenix in the Twilight Council so often. He probably doesn't face someone go, you know, Resident Glaives 2-based all-in that often. But this is super well practiced, especially on Site Delta, which is the map that does cry out for the faster expand, as it has the ramp going up to the natural. The Phoenix Wars are about to get a little weird. MaxPax actually hiding his Phoenix, jump on top of herO. herO not realizing it, or not worried about it. I'm not sure which one, but he didn't realize it, I think, is what happened there. MaxPax actually goes for the trap, but is it a trap? Those 2 extra Stalkers, I mean, not exactly having a response to them. Okay, well, all right. No, it's good enough, actually. I was a little worried, not because I figured that herO would win. I just was worried that herO would actually get a couple extra Phoenix kills. But he doesn't even get these two weakened ones, so nope, that worked out. That worked out really well for MaxPax, who also knew that he was going to have faster reinforcements, he's going to have double the reinforcements, and herO now is in a lot of trouble. herO knows that he's in a lot of trouble, so a Dark Shrine is the play actually from that Twilight Council, not Blink. But to hide the Dark Shrine successfully is another potential problem for herO. These Phoenix are sharking around for the end of the game, basically. If herO is making more Phoenix desperately, bad news for herO. If herO is making Stalkers desperately, still pretty bad news for herO, who would have maybe like 4, maybe 6 Stalkers, but Blink would not be done if that was even what he was getting to. And they wouldn't be able to defend both bases simultaneously, so... Either way you slice, the Phoenix get to be the bullies. But, importantly, they have not bullied the main base. They're bullying the production line. herO almost feigning committal to the Phoenix to distract MaxPax's Phoenix from the main would be a really big brain move. But it just got scouted, so never mind. I mean, that would have really been the coolest thing ever. If he was like, no, if I keep showing that I'm producing Phoenix, MaxPax will just camp me, and then he'll never scout the Dark Shrine. I mean, that would have been awesome. Then 2 or 3 DTs kill the pylons powering the Stargate that's building the Oracle. There's no wall, so DTs get into the main and the natural. It would have been cool. Not how it worked out, though, and herO, well, honestly, might as well tap out of this game. He would have to get enough Stalkers to stop MaxPax's Phoenix from killing his economy. And from killing his Stalkers. So he'd have to wait to warp in until he could afford like 8 Stalkers at once. That didn't happen, guys. That did not happen. More Stalkers being warped in aggressively is kind of a neat idea, though. The proxy gateway coming in once more. But, you know... Doesn't matter. You even have an observer now for MaxPax. You got a robo. Blink forward from herO. He's gonna try and make this into a game, guys. He will not give up. He will not surrender. The recall into the recall. Nice. herO does have a faster third Nexus and is only behind 8 workers after 14 of them were killed. Do I believe? Maybe. Temla, thank you for the 11 months. I think it's less clear-cut than the last game between MaxPax and Estrella, I guess? I mean, there's something here for herO, kind of. Maybe. DTs are always a great comeback mechanic, you know? And this one even survives. How about that? Eventually, MaxPax will have an army that can actually push and win. You know, when it's only Phoenix, you do have to wait for your opponent to tap out. You literally can't kill buildings, so you can't do the thing that actually wins you a StarCraft game. But as soon as you add in Void Rays and Charge Lots and Immortals, the Phoenix are there to help take out the army via crowd control, and then Zealots and Immortals can win. It looks like MaxPax has kind of gotten there. This Void Ray is going to be a freebie. Dumb Void Ray. And if the Phoenix weren't involved in this army would also be almost free. I would be very scared, oh my god, of doing exactly that. But herO's reinforcements stall the Phoenix. We're out of the equation. Goes for the Immortal, goes for the Warp Prism, goes for the second Immortal after that. But now there's not enough Stalkers to tackle the Phoenix, so... As kinda cool as that idea was, MaxPax still has too much army. herO only behind by 3 workers. There's a lot of minerals that MaxPax can put into a charge that army now. If herO can get to, let's throw out a number, let's say 25 Stalkers. He might be able to be aggressive on the map, and then slice and dice MaxPax's army. With 25 plus stalkers, he might be able to take out the zealots, blink back, take out the phoenix that are chasing him, blink back, blink back, blink back, blink back. And then, you know, another miracle hold happens. But we are not at 25 stalkers. We're at a meager 14. No Archons to help against the charge lots of MaxPax either. A very well-placed shield battery overcharge. Gotta give credit for that one, but eventually MaxPax will be able to break through. The shield battery plus the SimCity is freaking amazing. We have a new problem apparently, as MaxPax went for a DT, and herO doesn't have any response to that. He doesn't have cannons, he doesn't have Oracle because the Oracle gets shot down by the Phoenix, and I don't believe he had a Robo for an Observer, so... Yep, that finally ends, but really it ended as soon as the Phoenix War was won by MaxPax. Serious side up now is move on to Oceanborn. Bottom right, herO. Top left, MaxPax. If you are wondering about their history, they do play quite a bit. They seem to meet each other fairly often in a variety of online tournaments. So not just the Open Cup, but also in the Masters Coliseum, in the Warty TV Championship Playoffs, in the Kung Fu Cup, in the Warty TV Summer Party Qualifier. There's a lot of Warty TVs in here. But in particular, they have played a very good amount in the last 2 months. Just coincidentally, 4 different tournaments had them compete against each other. In December/January. The last time these two met, it was a very convincing 3-0 from herO in the 215 finals. So I think that's 3 weeks ago. Something like that. No. That was just literally last week. I'm totally off. But literally last week, so I didn't cast that one. But apparently herO bopped MaxPax a wee bit. But before that, it was a 3-2 in herO's favor, but obviously a lot more contentious. And then we had MaxPax win before that. herO, MaxPax, herO, MaxPax, herO, MaxPax, MaxPax, herO, MaxPax, herO, MaxPax, MaxPax. Yeah, the, Are the players' names reversed?
Twitch Prime sub received. Thank you for appeasing the overlord.
I can see why Steadfast is asking. I've never seen that bug happen in StarCraft 2, actually. So I don't think so. I think legitimately MaxPax has gone for a 2-gate opener, which he basically never does. He might go for a high ground, but then it's 1 gate. And then herO has gone for a low ground gateway Cybernex Core Nexus. Whoops. The only time you've ever seen this in StarCraft 2 is when they're using custom overlays. So like they have like they don't use this overlay that's actually in the game. They have one that appears and then someone puts like an actual custom text. Sometimes that would be wrong. And I know Stormgate recently, but obviously Stormgate's still building its engine and all that. No, it's actually just really funny. This is like the only situation in which you would ever wonder if that bug existed, because MaxPax almost never does what he's doing. herO will occasionally do this, especially when he does face MaxPax. This is not necessarily all that surprising from herO. It's that MaxPax is going for a 2-gate, not a 1-gate. And I think herO is as blindsided and confused as we are. His handling of the early game pressure, not as clean as one might hope, but it's not terrible either. Oracle, oh no, doesn't live! It doesn't live! Uh-oh. I mean, that Oracle didn't have much purpose after that. It would have been out of energy, but still, better than nothing. And now it's herO without a shield battery. herO did scout that his opponent went 2-gate. And here's where I think you're starting to see the signs that the player names are correct. Which is that herO isn't defending as well as MaxPax would in the same situation. His shield battery is too late and maybe too far back, because now he has to be behind his own wall to utilize the shield battery, which means the pylon is now a threat by stalkers that are, that have no threat to them, I guess. So this is real bad news. Shield battery overcharge having to be used on the pylon to buy time for further reinforcements. The shield battery overcharge will not last forever, and MaxPax is going for a proxy gateway. That's a total of 3 gateways. Feels like he can commit to the pressure. Stopped any Oracle harassment, by the way, because one more did get created. Now the Void Ray is out, and now it looks much more stable for herO. Just that shield battery was the real scary part there. I don't know if a 3 gate's going to be good enough. 4th gate is being added on as Blink finishes up. And that is really the primary concern for herO. He knows that it is Blink, and he sees the 4th gateway being added on. Oracle will get a successful stasis trap, but will also give its life for it. Adept going to try and get some vision on the high ground, and was very close to it. Actually dragged some army out of position, but no Blink forward is a little too sketchy to do that, and I do agree. If MaxPax had 10 stalkers here, you betcha he's blinking forward, but only 6, right? It's not going to happen. And now with enough stalkers guarding the 2 Void Rays, herO will feel confident moving out himself. Now MaxPax should almost always be able to retreat successfully, because he does have Blink, and he's actually not blinking necessarily all that well. Here we go. He's not blinking defensively, because he was looking to turn this into a surround. And there were a couple of stalkers that weren't blinked when he thought they would be, and herO is still managing to make this a trade. In fact, a damn close trade, as he has more reinforcements coming on the backside of the backside attack. It turns into a sandwich. Double sandwich. Could even be a triple sandwich. It's gonna be a freaking triple sandwich. Oh my god. Ah, it's not gonna happen now. Damn it. And MaxPax had also run after these stalkers in the middle of the map. That would have been a triple sandwich. But it is not gonna happen. herO somehow chases an army, but then kind of evacuates from the army. Now dependent purely on his gateway army, which I'm not sure is actually the plan, but shield battery is a hell of a drug. It is the plan, sorry, but I'm not sure it's the best plan, is what I was going to say. At this point, usually you'd still see MaxPax producing Void Rays, and he'd be adding on Stalkers, but he still would be producing Void Rays, or at least would have his alive, I guess, is the other thing. In a Gateway v Gateway battle, herO won't have Blink, but he might have more production. And in fact, he does. That gateway was canceled, by the way, so it's been 3 gateways this entire time. And herO also on 3 gateways. And has no problem affording 3 gateways, as he is on 37 probes to just the 24 of MaxPax. So the only thing MaxPax has is Blink. And actually, as the armies even up, and herO always has the shield batteries to retreat to, it does look like MaxPax is not going to win by turning his style upside down. And I think it was quite clever. It's just something he doesn't bring up very often at all. Maybe he brought it out in the last best of 5, to be fair. I didn't cast that one, but considering how surprised Steadfast was, and he cast every single one, I'm guessing he didn't. But even though it was supposed to be a big surprise, a game-winning surprise, doesn't win MaxPax the game. herO will hold on defensively and take the lead at 2-1. So after a mind-bending game 3, we now have herO in the lead, 2-1, spawning on Golden Aura. On the bottom right, herO, top left, MaxPax. Really did make us question if a name swap bug existed. You just don't see MaxPax go for a 2-gate almost ever in this matchup. And to add on, coinkadinkly, herO going for the gateway, Cybernex Core, and Nexus. You really did make a question. You know, if both of them had high ground 2-gated, it would have been shocking, but not so much that you'd wonder if there was a bug. It's just that, yeah, more so than anything else, MaxPax just almost never 2-gates. Unfortunately, as far as a shock and awe maneuver, I do wonder just how important of the shock value it is, because you would still scout it pretty early. In PvP, you probe scout so quickly, right? So this probe of herO would have been like, oh my god, he's doing a 2-gate. Okay, well that's actually kind of the normal thing. It's not so much the shock and awe, as much as it is, I think, MaxPax actually testing whether or not herO is as good defensively as he is. And then, well, I suppose there's always the question mark as to what exactly the 2-gate is following into, which can always work in the attacker's favor, but didn't in that last game. And it seemed like herO, while for a second looked to be a little bit worse at defending, that shield battery timing was kind of suspect, ultimately was good at defending, and his choice to move over into his own gateway units was done with the correct appraisal of the situation, so he did win out. Clearly, MaxPax going to lose that probe fight if he continues. I'm surprised he carried on, but he really wants to get this down. Oh, jeez Louise. Pretty sure that taser was actually lined up to tase. Somehow MaxPax skedaddled away from it. And now MaxPax has a very weakened probe that really can't do any type of pylon shenanigans, which you can still do. Obviously, if you gateway, that's what he did in game 2. It didn't work, but then it put him into a Phoenix versus Phoenix war, and he liked that. But he's not going to be able to even try and do the pylon shield battery stuff. Just a good old zealot, unsupported. Runs in, runs out. It is Stargate versus Stargate yet again. I'm actually kind of surprised that herO is the one that's consistently going for this. He does throw in the 1-gate expand against MaxPax, and that's fine, but, you know, it's like 1, and then attack, and then 1 base all in, and then Nexus, and then 2 base all in, and whatever. So, the fact that he's done it now 3 times in a row is a little surprising, and I don't think is actually all that advantageous for him. But he has the winning record over MaxPax currently, so I'm not really one to speak. It's just that the more that you do this against MaxPax, the more likely a Phoenix versus Phoenix battle will ensue. It's just the way this kind of has to go to a certain extent. You can try and play around with the Gambly Oracle and move over into the Twilight Council and try and play out the, you know, usually considered fine anti-Phoenix approach. But against MaxPax, it's hardly ever fine. So why would you put yourself in that position? herO feels confident in it, I guess. I do have extreme confidence in MaxPax winning any type of game where you're purely Phoenix. And even if herO was trying to add on the Twilight Council instead of his own second gateway, Stargate, I still believe in MaxPax. At the very least, herO has not gotten completely surrounded and bopped like game number 2. But he is going to be outnumbered in Phoenix very soon. His Stargate was considerably later than his opponent's. I'm not exactly sure how that worked out. Oh, he had 2 Adepts. Okay, that's how that worked out. MaxPax only with a Zealot and Adept. There's 2 Adepts from herO. I think that's literally the reason his Stargate's a little bit later. Because otherwise, everything is pretty freaking close together. Slight worker lead, I suppose, for herO as well, as he tries to get the 3rd Nexus down before his opponent comes over to force that potential Phoenix war. If you get the Nexus down, Phoenix can't lift the Nexus. Feels good, man. But if you're constantly batting away a Phoenix battle, then maybe your probe doesn't get on there to get the Nexus down. Looks like it's no longer going to be the triangle it's taken. You see the Adept lift and cancel on that Adept, because you don't want to have one Phoenix that's Graviton beaming, that's then not attacking. The Adept's kind of like a... The Adept actually looks really stupid. It's like one Adept in the field of Phoenix, and you're like, everyone point and laugh. But actually, it's kind of annoying. It has a chance to kill the probe, just like the Phoenix do, but without the lift. It can actually start poking and prodding at certain buildings. It doesn't kill them very fast, but it can. It can't always threaten a shade into the natural and then get 2 cheeky probe kills. And if it is targeted by a Graviton beam, it might take herO's Phoenix count down by 1. So it's just kind of annoying to actually have that in play, I guess. Whereas obviously herO sacrificed his. Their Nexus now down for both players, but herO's was faster because he just went off to the left. A little less of an ideal position, I suppose, but I don't think it's actually going to matter. I'm not really sure how their Nexus positioning is going to impact an air battle. Ground battles, literally just like as far as the rush distance goes, you got to concern yourself with that and how they position themselves on the terrain given. not a problem for air units. They don't care about the terrain given. They just fly every which way they want to go. Because we haven't had air blockers in any maps since Merry-Go-Round, maybe? Yes? Do people even remember that we had air blockers at one point? Anyway. It is a very classic Phoenix versus Phoenix war. In which, by that I mean they are both going into similar timed second Stargates, similar timed fleet beacons, and probably similar timed motherships. This does seem to be the change-up of this PvP dynamic since the patch where the mothership got its cost reduced. We have seen, I mean, MaxPax also went for a faster mothership last time I saw him play this way, but not this time around. That mothership does not pop very fast, but all the resources are still going into it nonetheless. So it's just building and not helping. But it's a scary point in time, but only if MaxPax can so astutely read the Phoenix count that he's like, yeah, I definitely have 2 more Phoenix than that guy. So freaking hard to tell. And it'll be over a shield battery, too. Somehow hero's probe just, like, walks into the main base and didn't actually see anything in the main. It almost did, though. But it's kind of spotted, I guess everything's par for the course, I suppose. Like, there's no +1 flyer on the way, which is an option that I'm sure will eventually be added on. But it has been not chosen by either player to get the second Stargate, to get the fleet beacon, to get the Phoenix range, to get the mothership, or whatever MaxPax is going to end up getting, which is finally a mothership as well. And that's the only thing, I guess, that the probe could have scouted. Yay, we're both not getting +1 flyer, yay! But again, I think both of them will eventually do so when it's less of a delicate balance. The Phoenix battles are just naturally delicate because it's all or nothing, really. To take the engagement, it's either do or die a lot of the time. Oh, this changes the dynamic, though. The mothership comes in with the cloak, and there is nothing to reveal the cloak! Oh, God! Oh, no! And this is the power play, obviously. herO compensated for the potential of his opponent's mothership by bringing in an Oracle. MaxPax did not do the same, and it has cost him this game by the looks of things. Time Warp's coming down and the cloak, but again, the Oracle is available, so Revelation will be cast, and nothing will be cloaked. And MaxPax has lost a considerable amount of units. He's down 4 Phoenix. He's down almost 10 workers. There you go, 10 workers. And I think the only thing keeping him alive is the ambiguity. So many flashing particle effects. Who the hell is winning? I don't know. I have a numbers tab, thankfully. And shield battery also very helpful, obviously, on the defense. MaxPax might not be dead, but he is not looking so hot. One carrier has yet to really help out very much, by the way. Its interceptors just get taken down immediately. It's actually a flying hunk of junk, honestly. Hardly worth the cost at this point. And I was going to say, the cloak is still a problem, isn't it? Yes, but the mothership gets target fired, so okay, that technically dealt with the problem. That mothership also just soaked up a ton of Phoenix shots, meaning that herO has now a 10-worker lead because he also went quad Stargate production. Whereas MaxPax emphasized a carrier a little bit earlier, then couldn't afford the 4th Stargate, sorry, then took bad battles, and now it just feels like a snowball effect. herO will eventually win out. I guess MaxPax was building probes during the engagements, so he's not that far behind on workers, in fact, basically catching up. +1 flyer finally on the way for both parties. It's something that herO can find a lot more affordable. Oh, barely doesn't grab the mothership. That just tanked a bunch of shots without actually dying. That's good for MaxPax. herO just with the... Oh, and a bad rally from herO, too. I mean, herO's mothership timing just ruled the day. Like, that is literally the only reason he's so far ahead, but it is obviously a very important reason. That was a good strategy on his part, and MaxPax was a bit later to it, so he reaped the rewards, the negative rewards. 10 more probes go down in the blink of an eye as herO feels very confident with his Phoenix superiority to dip in, kill probes, and evacuate in time. Now, MaxPax, he might still be able to bring this back, because if there's no killing below, then MaxPax might be able to get as maxed out as his opponent. And they both started their upgrades at the same time as well, so that's not really an advantage to herO either. And if it's maxed out, then it's all fair game. Maybe herO does have the bigger bank, which is usually fantastic, but if the battle really goes poorly, and it really can, when it comes to 200 supply battles of PvP air wars, things can get super bad super fast. Even when it looks like everything's pretty freaking even. And then maybe that bank that herO would have by being the leader in this game won't matter. We'll just lose anyway. So that's the goal right now for MaxPax. He would like to keep up on the expansions, but he's already fallen behind quite a bit. herO's 5th is done. 6th is on the way at the gold, and herO won't have any worry about that. There's no way that MaxPax can contest it until, again, he is maxed out, and even then, you want to be sure that you have the same upgrades, too, because what if your opponent did get ahead on that? So constantly clicking on the units. Right, somehow a pylon got over here, I don't even know when. A pylon on the... Oh my god, he just put down pylons everywhere. When the hell did that happen? I saw this one, and I thought that was cheeky, but then he has pylon, literally, in herO's base. Alright, so he saw the exact timing of the carrier transition. That's neat. He's started, but obviously only one carrier. Doesn't really make an army, so... Both of them really getting into the carriers at the same time. Big difference right here. Big difference. herO is still only on one Cyberman X core. It actually seems like a really big waste. He was undoubtedly in the lead, and that lead is currently showcased by his faster expansion process and his additional gas by the looks of things, which would very easily go into additional upgrades. He is finally adding on the second Cyberman X core, as well as zone +1 shields, and MaxPax is way faster to that. I'm actually trying to see exactly where herO's lead is gone. He definitely had more money. I wasn't wrong about that. There's the income graph. He's lost less in the resources lost, so I'm right about that too. I guess a lot of his supply was in Phoenix that are no longer the core of the game. So I didn't necessarily account for that. So okay, they had 8 extra supply, or well, double that supply. 8 extra units that aren't actually rounding out the max out army all that well. Both of them will eventually trade out the Phoenix. Usually. I mean, it can get weird. I mean, these battles are just so... There's just so much. There's just so much to account for. That I have certainly seen games in which the superior Phoenix count ends up coming in really clutch. Someone is later to the carrier transition, and I'm like, I don't know, man, that doesn't look really good. And then 20 Phoenix bop a mothership while it slowly accelerates. Although its acceleration did get buffed in the recent patch. And I'm like, oh, okay, Phoenix, you did a good job, yay. But most of the time, what you really want are the capital ships. So you want to get rid of the Phoenix once you figure that you can. Which is what MaxPax has done. We saw him kill his own Phoenix. We're killing some probes, too. But we haven't seen herO. herO is also, again, later to that second Cyberman X core, so right now, upgrades advantage to MaxPax. He's got +1 armor. And he's also much faster to starting 2-2-1. Actually, herO adds on a Templar Archive. He's going to try and add in Storm. He's also getting Blink. I guess he's preparing for the eventual big battle on the bridge, you know? And then the who remaxes faster and with what? Because if you can take a big battle, that actually is a bit of a wash. Both of you do just lose your capital ships, and you're like, okay, I guess we're going more capital ships. Fast Stalker production might beat that. But it does mean he's no faster to upgrades. After already being behind, he's falling even farther behind. So I don't know if that is actually worth it. Because clearly with herO taking corner base on this map, he is going to be leading in the resources eventually. He still has more workers, so he's still winning that. But I don't know if I like his composition as much. He's out upgraded. Oh, he finally got rid of all his Phoenix. Okay, never mind. Just kidding. Yep, okay. So now the biggest problem is that he doesn't have as many upgrades. But I do really like the Storm Edition, actually. One Storm on the Interceptors could be gorgeous. Especially because the Interceptors would like to be... They like to clump, right? Especially if you focus fire. Focus fire, they all go in one direction and they all kind of come out from one direction. Both great opportunities to storm them. He just Revelation his own gateways and carriers? I guess he wanted to be really sure there was no observer that he couldn't see because of the AI or whatever. I don't know. Probes have died. Both players losing probes, but very much on purpose. Nothing else to report. MaxPax actually not expanding as fast as I would expect. Static defense was put here. Both players able to be revealed. And, well, this is happening, apparently. Upgrades to the Red Protoss, but Storms just came down. Were the Storms good enough? Apparently not freaking at all. Do kindly avoid the Archons, however, and that was almost a disaster on a lot of these weakened carriers, but the Archons will not chase down the rest of the carriers, the Stalkers won't chase down the rest of the carriers, and apparently Storm was not enough to make up for the upgrade deficit. As I believe herO started that battle down 2 upgrades, actually, not just 1. Cool. That's how it happened. That's what went down. I hope you guys enjoyed it. This has been a ZombieGrub cast, and vote for me in the next election. I do great things. I'm pretty sure herO just dies. If herO doesn't just die, then I don't know. He base trades it, I suppose. There's no way that he's going to be allowed to bring back the carrier count, right? That's a stalker's job right now, is to try and buy a ton of time. Please don't come kill me, Mr. Carrier, sir. Please! MaxPax is going to lose a base, but he's looking for the... He's looking for the throat, you guys. He's going for it. He's going the distance. 12 carriers, 3-3-2. Void Rays even. About to be on top of herO's Stargate production. He has observers, by the way. Which, by the way, I thought that herO revelationed his own base, but I guess that was MaxPax revelation. Which does make more sense. Mothership, or not a Mothership recall, just a regular Nexus recall. I'm not sure where to. Oh, it's over there. Or was that a Mothership? That was a Mothership recall. Ah, I was right. And now there's also a Nexus recall. herO manages to live another day, manages to keep his carriers that he built alive, even though he lost his production and his technology. Another Nexus. But eventually, push will come to shove. 12 carriers, 14 Void Rays seem like they would win against what herO has, although the Void Rays are caught a little all by their lonesome. A recall is available, a Nexus recall is available. And there it is. There it is. Nice and safe. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. MaxPax is without a lot of money, so reinforcing his interceptor count will be difficult, but I'm not sure that he'll have to. See, this is where herO's Storms and Archons could actually win the game if the interceptors, again, entirely bunch up on top of the splash units or AoE, whatever it is. They are not here, and they are not being made either. herO has lots of bank, but doesn't know exactly what to do and try and get himself out of the situation. And it seems like this will be it, guys. He's got Stalkers killing another base, but what is he hoping for, an actual base race? Actually, I think that's exactly what he's hoping for. He's hoping for an actual base race, like down to the last building type of situation. Recalls have been used relatively recently, but the Nexus one's coming off cooldown. The mothership might have one, but obviously it's with the army, so it's not as important. And I don't know, the Nexus recall is still a ways away, guys. Like, maybe? Maybe? MaxPax might have canceled something because suddenly he has 1,000 minerals in his pocket. Last time I looked, it was 200. So now he can afford to build 2 Nexus, so that lessens the chance of herO successfully winning a base race. Oh, love the storms, love the storms. Right on top of those void rays. Nicely done. Nicely done. I love the storms. Cannot say that enough. He actually stormed his own interceptors in the actual engagement, but whatever, man. Oh, and the stalkers, I did not retreat fast enough. They did not kill all the buildings fast enough either, and now MaxPax might have the ability to split his army. I can definitely sense the hesitation and understand it as well. But I think 12 carriers win or 14 void rays win. The only problem would be the storm. And then the void rays don't win. But the storms are not with the stalker army, and more just fell, so this increases the chances. There was all the stalkers did, actually. This increases the chances of MaxPax winning tremendously. And there we go, GG. MaxPax, despite losing the Phoenix War, really, still ends up winning the late game PvP war and brings us to game number 5. Tied up 2-2. Game 5 is on Alcyone. In the top right, it is DKZ's herO. In the bottom left, it is Sidestrom Gaming's MaxPax. I said it. I favored MaxPax going into a Phoenix War, and I favored him going into the late game PvP war. But it only really became evident that MaxPax is going to be better when I think he was faster to those upgrades. herO did the mothership timing better, and so he almost won right then and there with the mothership timing. herO maybe could have. I don't know if he actually could have, because MaxPax did a really good job of circumventing certain death. Yeah, he literally just like ran around town to stop from dying. He's just like, no, maybe there's a chance if I just run away. And he was right. Had he threw his hands up and went, oh shit, mothership timing, you got me. Obviously he dies. All his Phoenix die and he dies. But he ran away and he bought time and he expanded during it and kept on building probes during it. So that was really commendable, his response to the mothership timing being better from his opponent. But then things calmed down. It became more and more evident that herO didn't think there was a particular timing to actually kill the guy, which I totally understand. And then as it goes into the late game stages of PvP, not going double cybernetic score when you have the lead does seem like a big mistake to me. MaxPax was just a little bit tighter on that. And that's, again, I think 2 upgrade advantage definitely shined in the major battle. But then, yeah, I think the storm backfired. I think the storm is much better in theory. As in, theoretically, you can storm the carriers' interceptors as they leave the carriers, or as they come back to the carriers. But if they're not at their carriers, then why are you storming them? Because the carriers don't even die that fast to storm. Not that fast, but they do eventually die, and lots of MaxPax's carriers were injured. But the interceptors are apparently totally fine. So I would say, general advice is to avoid a late game PvP with MaxPax, but herO doubly so, now that he had to play that type of game out after an almost victorious moment. Changing the syllable emphasis on a word when you're going from like the noun to the adjective or whatever is makes it sound really stupid. Anyway, proxy Stargate's coming in from herO. So MaxPax knows that there is a missing second pylon, and it is pretty likely to be a proxy Stargate, but it also could absolutely 100% be proxy Robo. Now that you see the Nexus, you're thinking more so it's a proxy Stargate, if it's a proxy at all. But one thing can tell you if it's a proxy, and that is the lack of mining, or the lack of minerals right there. So, you know the pylon is actually in a legitimate proxy location, And whether or not the Stargate was built is another question, but obviously it was. Stalkers were in position as best as they could be. And now 5 probes have gone down. But with MaxPax having the faster Nexus, that's totally fine. So now this probe finally finds the actual proxy, which, you know, sometimes it is just the oracle or even 2 oracles and then it's done. But seeing that it is actually a Phoenix maneuver is pretty important. And it's already up to 3 Phoenix, working on that 4th. Warp Prism is on the way from MaxPax, who did opt for a Robo first. So definitely moving away from his typical gateway natural Stargates. Unfortunately, this means he won't be allowed to play a Phoenix vs. Phoenix game, which I feel like he would have liked. It also means that his Warp Prism is far less effective. And actually, he's in some trouble. Sentry goes down, easy shot right there. 4 probes went down too. Because not only is his Warp Prism idea ineffective, his attack is now ineffective, and his transition to actually deal with the Phoenix, as in going into Blink, is much, much later as well. herO seems to really have a strong handle on this game, but do keep in mind, despite the probe losses, MaxPax is still almost even on workers, so just the power of continuing to produce probes to saturate 2 bases, whereas herO actually didn't have to saturate too much more, so didn't get that many more probes until now, which he now wants to saturate his gases. This is such an awkward position for MaxPax. Not sure how often he finds himself in it. Blink is about 70% done now, so he's building a better army going into this type of game. But it is definitely not what's to be expected. In fact, it would maybe be the opposite, where, of course, MaxPax went for the Stargate and Phoenix. But no, it is MaxPax who's trying to deal with all this harassment. Does finally kill 1 Phoenix. That's a nice find. This is only a couple more probes for it. Again, the economy is not all that different. The faster Nexus helped in the beginning for MaxPax, and then just very consistent probe production while losing probes, compared to herO intentionally stopping probe production to saturate his minerals and not his gas, and then only saturating his gas. I mean, it means he just didn't get fully, completely saturated on literally everything he could right off the bat. And he also didn't try and take any of the map control that he had to get a faster 3rd Nexus. Which, I guess if you know, if MaxPax was going to go for a 2-base all-in when Blink was done, he has a Warp Prism, he has an Immortal, he can successfully move across the map, I guess that would require a lot of respect. That was weird. Was that off place? Was it? Really? I guess it must have been, but he canceled a Nexus and rebuilt it. Interesting. Anywho, then herO would have to respect that potential move-outs, and as such didn't want to be too eager to grab a 3rd Nexus, only now grabbing it later than MaxPax's, despite MaxPax never once stepping foot outside of his own 3-base triangle setup, actually. He's been entirely defensive. He gets a faster 3rd Nexus. And so what looked to be a more awkward position for MaxPax, because he got this aggressive opener. He's like, I got a Warp Prism. I'm going to go across the map. I'm going to bop this guy. Oh my god, I can't do that. Let's just stay at home and wait. It looks like it should be really awkward, but I guess because herO was trying to do more and was unable to do much, I guess it kind of evened out. You know, it would have been great if the Phoenix could have actually killed the guy, but Phoenix, as far as actually killing Protosses, not often what happens. It's usually the Phoenix leading into advantages for the Phoenix player that leads into the win. MaxPax's patience and reading the game has worked out. He also did have a scout prior to this observer. Hallucination actually got sent across the map while he was dealing with the Phoenix harassment, so I think he saw the lack of third Nexus and knew that he wasn't too far behind. And then I think it got F2'd back home, because I saw it return. But I think that's what happened. Obviously, the observer just scouted everything as well before dying, so that's nice. But the fourth Nexus also scouted in a potential transition. Actually not scouted, but the Phoenix number hasn't grown, and it really shouldn't be at this point in time anyway, so you know that there is a transition on the way. MaxPax is going to add on not just a Templar Archives, not just a Robotics Bay, he's going to add on both. He's going to get everything. Thank you, Keeper, for the 35 months. I was about to go into a very, very, very old school internet video. But for those who lived in the era, let's get some shoes. Oh my god, these shoes cost $500. This Robotics Bay in this Templar Archives cost $500. Let's get them. Seriously, though, you usually see one or the other. Or maybe one and then the other eventually, but just both at the same time. Looks kind of funny. herO is pretty much doing the same thing, of course. Templar Archives was first, but then also decided to go into Robotics Bay, and we could have ourselves some Disruptor Wars. We've seen a little experimentation with Colossus, and we're gonna see it again. Hey! I was 100% not expecting that. It is only one Robo, so maybe that's a little bit more of an indicator. I don't think so, actually. I think it is literally just the choice of the Protoss, you know? Because MaxPax has fallen behind a little bit in the economy, so he might have been conservative with his Robo production anyway. But a Colossus, not a Disruptor. It's consistent DPS, but it has less comeback potential. Does MaxPax need to make a comeback? I'm actually not certain about that. His armor supply currently overpowering that of his opponents. You got the Colossus now on the front as well to help melt some of these Zealots. And the Immortals, despite 5 of them looking really intimidating up against a majority Stalker army, weren't actually getting close enough to get the shots. You're stuck behind the Zealots and hitting Archons, which is fine. Maybe hitting Zealots, which is not fine, but they weren't really kicking the asses of the Stalkers so much. And so MaxPax not only holds, but he also holds his 4th base, which that was a little more suspect because herO was there before MaxPax was ready. But no, 4 base to 4 base. herO is still the economic lead thanks to a few extra probes and I think a better transfer of oversaturated probes. But MaxPax's army certainly has something going for it. Generally, I am old school, I guess, in that I do like the Disruptors. If I was really old school, like top 10 greatest players of all time's reign, old school, then maybe I would have liked Colossus. But Legacy of the Void, all about the Disruptor. It's been that way for 8 years, guys. I am a bigger fan of the Disruptor in this matchup. But I'm willing to see what the Colossus can do. What's up? What's up? War Prism gets into the main and the natural. Little tickle. Not much damage being done. The Disruptor is doing their duty here, which really is oh, okay, this is more than a tickle actually. This is an actual beating going on. Pylons going down, depowering a lot of structures. 18 probes going down too. Finally, herO cleans it up, and yeah, he has enough bank. Not a big deal. But still, more than I expected there. But I was going to say the Disruptors are kind of doing their job, not just as far as being used. Good job, guys. But more so, I feel like the position here for the Disruptor player is to be more on point. I don't know about being super aggressive, but apparently herO feels confident about it, is bullying back MaxPax's army. What I mean by on point is that I think if a Disruptor player ends up being back at home into their own SimCity up against the army that MaxPax has, then maybe it's not as effective. All the Disruptors shoot their shot, they don't have very many shots left over, suddenly they're dead weight, where the Colossus are consistently beating down everything, and it doesn't look as hot. But I say that, obviously herO is doing totally fine out on the map. Even upgrades, even-ish army supply, it is favorable towards herO, but the compositions are very different. And those Disruptors are just so freaking scary. And the Immortals packed in with them actually provide so much chonk. The Stalkers wouldn't even try to jump on top of these Disruptors. Finally, MaxPax with his own Disruptor out, but it whiffs its shot. 12 Disruptors there for herO. Holy shit. That is shots for days. And MaxPax, I think, is simply too late to transition over into a different style of army, or maybe he isn't. Stalker's still trying to survive. Charge Lots making those shots really look quite awkward, and probe damage is being done on herO's side of the map as well. When the Disruptors are left alone, they can't protect each other, at least not most of the time. And that was the fear there. But it looks like MaxPax was not able to get enough Zealots. And that's the thing, if he had a bunch more Zealots and they actually got an effective concave or surround on the Disruptor Immortal army, the Disruptors don't know where to shoot. They might be shooting themselves, maybe shooting their own Immortals. They might be shooting into 1 or 2 Zealots, you know? And it's, oh my god, that was almost a great Disruptor shot. Does take down 2 at the very least. MaxPax not going to give up yet, but here comes the rest of herO's army, and it has a 40 army supply lead. Another Disruptor will fall, but herO's overall army is just bigger. MaxPax does not have the economy as his 3rd fell, his 4th will fall as well, and herO might have lost probes too, but he has 5 bases. He has a gold base he can also add on his probes to, and he has the superior army counts at the very end of it. So MaxPax gets caught out, gets destroyed, and will lose game 5. Not such a big fan of those Colossus, I gotta say. I just felt like they really couldn't do anything. Maybe they would have been better if there wasn't the Immortals as well. Why? I don't know why. Because then maybe it's more Charge Lot based or Stalker based than Immortals, which might actually melt to the Colossus, or the Immortals are like, whatever, bruv. I don't know. Either way, MaxPax ends up losing the game. Didn't get what he wanted from the composition, that's for sure. And herO will take a 3-2 victory in North American Open Cup, once again defeating MaxPax for it.